Welcome to the Big Kickoff Football Show with Mr. David Bugle, Mr. Neil Dobbs, and myself, Roy Shanahan. And a bit of a topsy-turvy weekend. A bit of sharing is caring at the top of the table. And Neil, we're going to go with you first of all because West Ham turned Chelsea over, and Chelsea are starting to go through a bit of a wobble.
Yeah, I think that's as much of a wobble as Chelsea can get at the moment. But it's a good game, very interesting game, right? The two West Ham kind of went for a 3-5-2 formation to match that at Chelsea. So it kind of became a battle of the wing backs. Chelsea are obviously missing Chilwell at the moment. They have Alonso on the left, who's still pretty decent. But I think West Ham, when they matched them up, ended up going more five at the back than they did three at the back, if you know what I mean. They ended up dropping deep. A bit of a horrible kind of open in 30 minutes, but West Ham have a bit of firepower up front. Antonio leads the line, but Jared Bowen kind of stole the show, I think, with his display. He was very, very positive in the way he played. He gave Chelsea no end of problems. Yeah, it turned out to be a very, very good game, but it was one of these that you felt West Ham were going to get something out of it. And if you look at West Ham against the kind of big guys this year, the big guns, West Ham been really, really solid, and they have this kind of almost like a swagger about them at the moment that they're not allowed to they're not afraid to talk themselves up. David Moyes has been asked many times, can he hit the top four? And he keeps saying he's aiming for top four, where maybe clubs in a West Ham kind of position in previous years, even the likes of Spurs, Arsenal this year, they'd be very weary about talking about top four hopes. But Moyes seems very positive, and it seems to be paying off on the team at the moment because they're really, really playing well. On the flip side, Thomas Tuchel gave a very open, honest interview after the game, which he always does. And he mentioned that he felt tired legs, tired minds. There was players complaining they maybe couldn't give the full 100%, or that they were unable to give the full 100%. And in fairness to him, he also then ended by saying, I'm not having it because West Ham played Europa League and they have as many miles in their legs as we do. So we need to find a way of getting rid of this. So fair play to Tuchel. He kind of said it, but at the same time said, I'm not having it. We knew what we're getting in for. We know what the Premier League is all about. And to be honest with you, even said, it's only getting going now for the next 4 weeks that they're going to be really tested. So, all in all, from everyone else, Liverpool City perspective, great result for West Ham, but they didn't flatter themselves. I think they were worthy of the win.
Yeah, Dave, it was surprising to me. Neil's after saying that there, Tuchel's talking about maybe players talking about their tiredness, etc. But Lukaku was back. He's their main centre forward. He came off the bench in the game previous. He's stuck on the bench again this time. Do you just stick Lukaku in no matter what? Was he being too clever, or should his team be doing the job anyhow?
Yeah, well, obviously they've been in decent form. They're top of the league by no fluke. So I suppose the fact that he's been missing for a few games, does he bring him straight back in and kind of undo some of the good work by some of the boys previous? It's hard to tell. And plus, how extensive is the injury? Can he last the full 90 minutes at the minute? So it's a bit of a funny one. Look, the Premier League's a little different than everyone else, like in relation to this whole match pile up and the whole lot. Like it's down to one thing, and it's the League Cup. There's an additional cup and there's an additional matches. The league is the same. If anything, over the years, it's less games now. If you're in Europe, you're in Europe, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, I think Tuchel's right. You just have to suck it up and get on with it. But the league or the FAs and all them can make up a bit of a thing and do something about it in relation to the additional cup that no one really gives a crap about anymore, unfortunately. It was done back in the 70s to for more revenue for the floodlights, and that was it. Maybe it's had its day in a weird way in that sense, because that's the only way in England they can make it any easier, because they play the same matches as everyone else, but everyone else doesn't seem to have the same problem because they don't have to crush in as many fixtures as they do because of it. But in relation to Lukaku, it's a funny one because he was a bit quiet before he went injured. So look, it'll be interesting to see how Chelsea respond. I wouldn't get too excited just yet. West Ham have a great record against all the big boys this year, doing a great job on them all. So it'll be interesting to see. There'll be changes being made. There's no two ways about it, especially with Europe is already sorted. So he can get plenty of players rest this week and get them refreshed and recovered for next week. Hello?
We couldn't out here.
Are we back there? Yeah, a bit of interference there, I think, during that.
I was about to say, did I say something so bad?
just dropped off there for a sec. So I was like, okay, keep talking, Dave. Hopefully you're still talking when I get back in.
I literally just stopped and I was like, all right, what's going on?
Neil, when you... Neil, West Ham, we talked about it before. Yes, they're a decent outfit. Moyes has turned them around. We talked about maybe their squad might kill them in the end. It's not looking like that, though.
Yeah, I think they're holding out at the moment. I think they picked up an injury to Zuma yesterday, wasn't it? He slid out, and they don't know whether it's a hamstring / thigh type of injury. But he, in fairness to David Moyes, he's playing a strong side in Europe and he's playing a strong side on the weekend. He's not really going away from his trusted 11 at the moment. And it seems to be paying dividends for him. But I think that's the only thing that can catch up with them at the moment. They have the confidence. They have a bit of a swagger since last season, where they finished quite strongly. As Dave's saying there, like they're punishing the bigger teams that go there and aren't really on it. Liverpool found out the hard way, and now Chelsea have found out the hard way. And again, these aren't fluke wins. Like, these aren't West Ham defending for 90 minutes and then nicking a goal on the counter. This is West Ham inflicting their game plan on these teams. And you know yourself, the Premier League from top to bottom, if you go out and you're anything less than 100%, sometimes you get a punch in the face. And I think this is happening to these teams. They're going there. They're not quite right. I think you could see this coming. Chelsea midweek got away with one a little bit. They weren't very good. Tuchel come out after the game and again, in fairness, said, listen, we got away with one tonight. We were really, really poor. That was against Watford. And it seemed to follow them. They couldn't seem to refresh the legs. Now, when I say refresh the legs, I'm looking at Chelsea's midfield was Loftus-Cheek and Jorginho, whereas West Ham's midfield is Souček and Declan Rice. And this Souček-Rice combination that Moyes seems to be playing, it's really, really doing well. And I mean, you would get Declan Rice at the moment, I think, would get into most midfields, regardless of who they are at the moment, maybe with the exception of Manchester City, who might not need him. But I'll put it like this, he'll get into a Liverpool midfield three the way he's playing at the moment. He's really, really good and he's coming on. Souček is a kind of a Marmite type of player. You don't really know what to make of him, but he's brilliant in the air and he gives 100%. But it's the combination of the two of them as a duo that just seems to be hitting the right spot for West Ham. So if they can keep them two fit, they can build on that going for the rest of the season. And David Moyes deserves great kind of applause for what he's doing to keep them going.
Yeah. Dave, you look at Thiago Silva in the back line. He's 37 years of age. You look at Ronaldo, of course. The length of a footballer's career now can be extended to whatever they want it to be now, can't it?
Exactly. And it's playing to your level as well. But the fact that these lads can still do it at the very top is highly commendable. Can they all do it? It remains to be seen. I think there's a bit more in Thiago and Ronaldo than a lot of others. And I think that's the way they're at the very, very, very top. I think there's a little bit more magic ingredients that they have over one or two others in that sense. But it just goes to show you it can be done, and with the right level. And like what we talk about a lot, it's up there, that top 6 inches, like having that drive and determination and discipline to look after yourself. And look what you can do at 36 and 37 respectively. You winning Champions Leagues and obviously trying to get you back to the very top, and that's what can be done instead of the majority of players. But I think they just have that little bit of magic that it's in a lot of people, but it's just very rarely do people bring it to the fore,
Yeah. Mendy, David, was seen to have a bit of a nightmare. One goal obviously was which he fumbled, but the last goal, it's a hard one, isn't it? No one's really expecting it. No one in the whole the crowd, anyone at all. So it's easy to blame him on that, isn't it?
Yeah, dead easy. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. Very much he probably was already starting to lean out a little bit to come out for the cross, and it didn't exactly come in with the pace of a cross. It seemed to have a bit more about it. So, again, he got back. The easy option is to blame the keeper in this instance. I think it's one of them that happens again, not that it happens again, but Masuaku had no idea what he was doing in that sense. It was a fluke, and unfortunately he got caught out. But I wouldn't be too concerned about Mendy. He's been in fine form for Chelsea, and I think we'll let him away with that one. But it's just more credit to West Ham for keep knocking on the door.
Yeah. Neil, we'll have a look. This Johnny O'Byrne says Chelsea still not proven. Havertz, Lukaku, Werner to outscore Liverpool.
And City, I presume.
Who do you think is their main threat up front? What way would you look at Chelsea as the three main men for them?
I think Mason Mount has become a huge player for them. Then you've Kai Havertz, who's kind of coming good, and then Timo Werner, who in that point there, I don't think he's gonna. You're not going to outscore Liverpool. You're not going to outscore. I presume it's Chelsea, and maybe even United. Like, I mean, you take players off them, all them teams that would get in ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea players. Lukaku's your main guy because you're going to play him, I would imagine, in 90-95% of the games, or he's always been used in that manner. There must be something going on that he's not quite right yet that Tuchel isn't putting him in. I can't understand it. Maybe he's worried that the fixture congestion coming up, that he will need to rest him or ease him in, which is fair enough. I think he's great options. But I would say the likes of, he's playing with like Ziyech, Mount in behind the front man, which seems to be where all the goals are coming from. Loftus-Cheek plays in there, he gets goals. And then the two wingers are getting goals, as in the wing-backs, which would be Reece James, Alonso, always have goals in them. So they do have a lot of goals in their midfield. But to be that kind of top team, to be winning the Premier League, City are obviously the kind of, in the last 2 years, without a proven striker or a notified centre forward. But every other team needs a 20-25 goal man. And Lukaku has to be that for Chelsea. But while he's not there, Mason Mount and the likes will pick up the slack. I thought it was funny yesterday, right? Sky Sports reported out that Mason Mount scored a Cruyff-esque finish for his goal, and I thought, geez, I was watching that game. I don't remember seeing that. It was no more Cruyff-esque from the bloody sideline with a foot over the keeper. It was a side foot. Not a great goal, don't get me wrong, but let's try and make something out of nothing there. But there's like Mount is on great form. He'll score a lot of goals, but they're reliant on that type of player in the 9 role rather than in the 10 to score the more goals at the moment.
Roy's got frozen.
He's off rebooting Rowers. He's rebooting Rowers.